Welcome into this week's edition of the Coaches Show. Joining me first, as always, is our head women's basketball coach, Dr. Britta Belanger. Coach, thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
And Coach, obviously, you've played 3 since the last time we've talked. The good news is you've gone 2-1 in those. Felt like you might had a really good chance to go 3-0. Stumbled a little late in one of those games, but we'll go back to the first one we're going to talk about is the Southwest game. And I don't think we can beat around the bush and say this was an ugly win. It was an ugly first half. The second half was a lot better, but your thoughts overall on the game?
Well, first of all, we've played 3 games in 6 days in the past week, so it's been a very long week for us. I'm very, very proud to go 2-1 in that week on tired legs and things like that. The Southwest win was an ugly win, but at least it was a win. I think the halftime score was 18-15. Mm-hmm. That is not good basketball, very low scoring. I knew Southwest was going to want the game to be low scoring. They don't score a lot of points. They needed it to be low scoring. And all throughout the first half, I told Coach Ray, I said, we got to speed it up. We got to find a way to speed it up. One thing I thought we did much better in the second half is we kind of changed. We held our press in our pocket until the second half, and we came out in that second half, and Zion Nelson was on the top of that press. It just caused them all kind of problems, and we were able to make big runs.
Yeah, you mentioned it. The first half score was 19-15. They scored 9 in the first and second quarters. We scored 7 and 8 in the first and second quarters. In between halves, our friend Chuck Barnes was there. I looked at him. I said, is that the ugliest first half you've ever seen in this series? He said, if it's not, I can't think of one that won much. And to be honest, I don't think it was necessarily bad shooting or anything like that. It just neither team could really buy a basket in that first half.
Yeah, neither one of us shot it very well. I didn't think we guarded very well at all in that first half. And again, we rely on transition buckets to kind of get us going. We can play in the half court, but we like to have those transition buckets, and we just couldn't get any of those because even when we got the rebound, we just weren't able to get out and get going like we needed to. And so that's why we needed to press in the second half and really speed it up, and that was good for us and good to us.
The good news is second half offense came alive. You outscored them 14-10 in the third, 22-10 in the fourth. Mm-hmm. That's where you get the 51-38 line scores. You look at the personal line scores. There were only 2 players in double digits, one on each side, but Cam Pruitt led everybody in both scoring and rebound. She had 21 and 9, just narrowly missing a double-double there. 8 points from Madison Mitchell. She also had 6 rebounds, 5 assists. A great game from her as well, too. Those were your top scorers right there. And again, we talk about Maddie a lot. You don't always ask her to score, but when you do, it always seems like she comes up big for you.
Yeah, she does. I think Maddie Mitchell's playing the best basketball of her career. I think the past 4 or 5 games she's played really well. She's looked to score more, and she has scored. She's also done a good job of protecting the ball, and we've asked her to step up and guard teams' best player and be our best defender, and she's done that too. That's a lot for a point guard who has to handle the ball all the time and guard their best player, and we put a lot of that on her and on Akila Hobson. We asked them to do that, but I thought we did really well on that. Cam Pruitt kind of came alive. She had not really scored, and then in that fourth quarter she hits a big 3, and then after that she just came alive, and once she kind of sparked and came alive, we all kind of just sparked and came alive. So our defense led to offense, but in the fourth quarter our offense really got us going and was really, really good.
Yeah, and then you fast forward to this past Saturday, you played Northwest. This was a 77-69 ball game. This was the one where it kind of felt like you just ran out of gas right at the end. Played really well for most of the game and just came up just a little bit short in this one.
Yeah, I thought for 36 minutes we played about as well as we possibly could. In those last 4 minutes of the game, we kind of ran out of gas and we made some very costly mistakes. In those last 4 minutes, we turned it over 4 or 5 times in a row. We didn't get good shots at the basket. We gave up 2 wide open threes because we didn't communicate well on defense. And those 2 things combined just turned out to be killer for us. In my opinion, Northwest is the best team that we have played this season. I don't know that they're the best team in the league, but they are the best team that we have played. They have thrown the best punch at us. They're very complete. They have 2 really good post players. They have 2 really good wings. They're very, very complete. And so overall, I was really happy with our effort in this game. I was really pleased with how well we played in this game up until those last 4 minutes, and I was disappointed in that. And that's what I told the team after the game. I said, for 36 minutes, you played well enough to win the game, but those 4 minutes, we can't have 4-minute spurts, whether it's 4 minutes in the beginning or 4 minutes at the start of the third or 4 minutes in the end. We can't have 4 minutes where we go and let them go on an 11-3 run. It just breaks your back, especially against a really good team like Northwest.
And you look at the box score, it was tied 31-31 at half because they outscored us 18-13 in the first quarter. Flip that, we outscored them 18-13 in the second quarter. We outscored them 25-22 in the third, and then the 24-13 margin in the fourth is ultimately what led to the 77-69 line there. You look at the individual scores. We talked about it just a few moments ago. 8 players in double digits in this game, 4 on each side. That's just you really don't
Almost
see that in
unheard of.
a women's basketball game. Almost and ironically, it was for both teams 4 out of your 5 starters. So just another little kind of stat line there where you almost don't see that as well too. Leading the way for the Lady Wolves was Cam Pruitt again. She had 15 points and 15 rebounds, a monster game from her. 15 points from Monty Key as well too. She had 5 rebounds, 4 assists. 11 points each from Maddie Mitchell and Akila Hobson, and 7 points from Zion Nelson. They all 5 of your starters had really good games in this one, and their stat lines show it.
Yeah, that's a complete game for us when all 5 of our starters have that good of a game. I remember Tyra Johnson coming off the bench, and defensively she was really good even though she didn't score. Cam 15 and 15, those are monster numbers. Those are numbers that we have kind of come to expect her to put up. In this game, I remember Imani Keys, she's like 4 for 6 from the 3-point line. She had hit like 3 in a row and she misses one and she looks at me and I'm like, why are you looking at me? Keep shooting it. You're 4 for 6. If you're 4 for 12, we don't need to do that. But she was 4 for 6. She was shooting it really well. I just thought overall we played really well in this game. We just, again, one possession where if we can get a stop and go down and not turn it over at a critical time, that changes this game completely.
And then you go to this past Monday, you go on the road and you get a really dominant road win over the Lady Bulldogs of Hines, 79-58. You outscored them 30-13 in the first quarter, and you really kept them at arm's distance the rest of the way. Your thoughts on how good it felt as a coach to see your girls be able to rebound and go on the road into enemy territory and get a dominant win like this?
Well, first of all, I was very concerned about this one because it was our 3rd game in 6 days. And Hines is a team that is probably not going to make the playoffs. They had nothing to lose except to spoil our party. So I was concerned about how much gas we had left in the tank to be able to, get through that 3rd game in 6 days. I was concerned about, their level of intensity because when you're not playing for a lot, you play very free. And sometimes it's easy to sneak up on somebody because you are playing so free. Let me flip that and say it was really nice to go to Hines and be able to get out to a big lead and not have to worry about, all right, we're up 2, do we need to foul? Because if you go back and look at our schedule and you go back and look at our season, every game that we have played in conference play, even our losses have been 2 and 3 and 5 and 6-point losses, or they've been 2 and 3 and 5. Even our wins, Southwest, we won that by 10 or 12, and it never felt like a 10 or 12-point game to me. So the Hines game is the first game in a long time that we've had some cushion, and it was nice for me as a coach to relax and go, okay, it's okay if we don't have to be perfect this possession because we've had to be so perfect every possession because the competition has been so good. It was also nice to get some players some minutes who have not gotten a lot of conference minutes but deserve those minutes and deserve that experience. It was nice to get them some of those minutes and nice to get our players who do play so many minutes a little bit of rest. Because we are in the home stretch of our season and we're staring down the barrel again of playing 3 games in 6 days.
And and I mentioned it, you look at the line score, 30-13 in the first quarter was the margin. They outscored you 13-10. You outscored them 22-9 in the third, 23-17 in their favor in the fourth, but still at that point it was pretty much all but over. That's still how you get that 79-58 line. You look at the individual line scores, another game where you had 4 players in double digits. So back-to-back games, you've had 4 players in double-digit scoring. Again, Cam Pruitt led the way, 17 points, 11 rebounds. Got off to defending that MACCC Player of the Week honor to a real good start with a double-double. 12 points each from Zion Nelson and Imani Key. Imani also had 8 rebounds, 11 points off the bench from Amari Barnes. And I think what's special for Amari, she was 4 for 4, 3 for 3 from 3. So a perfect night from her. One player that we don't get to talk a lot about, but I want to mention her, Zaria Hatton. Zaria came off the bench and nearly gave you a double-double. 9 points, 7 rebounds, her best game in the Lady Wolves uniform. And that's one of those players you mentioned. You were able to give her some minutes, and it really paid off for you in this one.
Yeah, she was really good. I didn't know her stat line. I remember her going in the second quarter and giving us, because we had gotten out to a big start. Then we kind of slowed down, and then we subbed. And when she came in, we started pressing again, and her length on the top of our press gave us a huge spark, a huge defensive spark. She got a couple steals. At one point, she was exhausted, and I wanted to take her out, and Coach Ray was like, don't take her out. She's playing too well. So, we were able to leave her in, and then we finally got her to the sub because she was tired, but she had a really good game. Amari Barnes, I think she could put up that kind of game every night if she played with that confidence. Sometimes she's hesitant to shoot it. Sometimes I don't know if she's ready to shoot it, and that's something we talk about all the time. Be ready to shoot it. Hines played a lot of zone. That was her bread and butter. She was there, and she was ready to shoot it. And so, I thought she had a really, really good game.
And now you turn your attention to the final two games of the regular season. Can't believe we're saying that. It feels like October was just a blink away, but we're here at the end. You're going to finish it first at home against Gulf Coast. It's going to be a special night. You have sophomore night. You get to honor a group that's been very special for this program for the last 2 years. But what are we expecting out of the Lady Bulldogs when they come in on Thursday?
Gulf Coast is one of the best teams in our conference. For most of the conference, they have been in the first place spot. Now they're kind of in the 2-3. We've got a lot of tiebreakers. We got a lot of the teams in our league are very even, and there's been a lot of people who have beaten each other. So Gulf Coast is kind of sitting there in the top. They're very long. They're very athletic. They look like a Division I basketball team. They have a point guard who's very small, 5'3", and then all the way around, everybody else is 5'9" or bigger. So I think their size is going to cause us some problems. They're really good in transition. I think if we guard like we guarded against Northwest and we don't turn the ball over, we will be fine against them. We've got our work cut out for us, but that's okay because they're having to come into Mullen and it's sophomore night. And all that creates a great atmosphere, especially for the last regular season home game of the year. Now, let's put an asterisk by that because we hope we get to play at least one more in Mullen even after this last regular season home game.
And then you'll go on the road. You'll wrap up the regular season at East Central. What do we know about the Lady Warriors coming into this one? I know that's a team. I think they're still a little bit in the hunt for playoffs, near the bottom, but they still got a lot to play for themselves. But what do we know about them going into that one?
Yeah, East Central's got a lot to play for. In fact, if they win the next two and we were to, lose the next two, we would end up in a tie with them. So it's very important that we really need to win both of the next two, but it's very important that we go to East Central and win because if not, that could change our chances of hosting a home playoff game. It's been a long time since we played East Central. We played them the very first game of the season, maybe the second game of the season. I think we played Holmes the very first game of the season. It's been a long time since November, Kevin. I can hardly remember some of that. So I know they've got a dominant post. I know that one of their guards, who is a soccer kid who had played on their soccer team, and she played against us a little bit that first meeting, but she didn't play a lot. I know both of them have been playing very well. I think East Central has been playing very well, and having to go there just makes it that much more difficult. So I think it's a good matchup for us. I think we're very evenly matched as far as personnel and things like that. But I think our team will be fired up. I think they'll be serious about it. We've got some kids from that area. They know some kids on their team. So I think they'll be ready for that. And I think playing a home playoff game is really something ours are trying to get to and trying to achieve. And so I think they'll be ready to play both against Gulf Coast and against East Central.
Well, the good news is no matter what happens, we can say for sure the 2025-26 season will be a winning season for the Lady Wolves, sitting at 14-9. So that's something to feel good about. But hopefully the next time we're talking about a couple more wins. We know we'll be talking about a playoff game at least for sure. But again, lots of exciting things happening for the Lady Wolves. They go 2-1 over their last three with wins against Southwest and Hines, 51-38 and 79-58 respectively. Dropped a 77-69 contest against Northwest. They will finish out the regular season hosting the Lady Bulldogs of Gulf Coast. 5:30 tip-off here in Mullen, sophomore night. Be here, cheer on these Lady Wolves and their sophomores. It'll be a special night for all of us. And then they will go on the road, face off against the Lady Warriors of East Central on Monday. 5:30 tip-off for that. We'll give you the streaming information as we have it available. Stick with us through the break. We got men's basketball, baseball, and softball all coming your way. Welcome back in. Thanks for sticking with us through the break. Joining me now is our head men's basketball coach, Randy Bolden. Coach, thanks for joining me.
Hey, thanks for having me.
And Coach, since the last time we've talked, you've played three. Unfortunately, you've gone 1-2 in those. Now, the one was a really big one. That's the first one we're going to talk about. Southwest came over here, brought a really big team. We were really undersized in this one. But, a very dominant second half from your guys led to a 71-64 win. Your thoughts on how the guys were able to overcome a little bit of a slow start and really kind of manage the tide, weather the storm, and find a way to win this one?
Well, as you said, Southwest, they're a huge team. Not only are they huge, they're talented. They got a really good bunch over there, and I thought in the first half. I thought they kind of dictated tempo, and I think they just imposed their will on us in the first half. And give our guys credit in the second half. I mean, we made adjustments and they came out and we made shots. We got timely stops, and that's been the biggest thing with us. When we guard you and rebound, it's hard to beat us. And I thought we did that in the second half. Our guys, they really buckled down and got stops, and we were able to come out victorious.
You look at the box score in this one, we just talked about it. That first half, they outscored us 35-26, but that second half, a lot of strong defense, a lot of stops. You turned a lot of defense into offense, quick offense as well, too. You didn't have to get into your sets and those kind of things. You outscored them 45-29. That's where you get the 71-64 win there. You look at the individual line scores, and in this one, you had 3 guys in double digits. Leading the way for you was Mustafa Salik. Mu had 24 points, flirted with a double-double, missed it by 1 rebound with 9 rebounds. Tyrell Bowles gave you a double-double, 17 and 10. Morris Hammond gave you 15 and 4. Another guy who had a really good game and flirted with a double-double was Coy Williams. 8 points, missed it because he couldn't get 2 more points. 10 assists, a huge game assist-wise for Coy, and that's kind of a trend we've seen over the last few games. 4 rebounds as well, and those 4 are kind of the guys that you relied heavily on, and they really stepped up for you in this one.
Yep, those guys were very big for us, and in order for us to be successful, they have to have those type games, and they're more than capable of doing it. And like I said, I thought down the stretch we just executed, man, and we turned it up defensively, and we were able to come out with a win.
And then you go to this past Saturday. This one, you dropped this one to the Rangers 105-87. I think you give full credit to them. Yeah, our guys were playing with, what felt like maybe a little bit of tired legs. But, their guys, they understand their system. They were in the same situation we were, having to play a second game in 3 days. But, I give them full credit. They run their system. They have 2 teams of 5 guys. They swap them in and out pretty good and keep guys fresh, and I think that may have been the biggest difference.
Well, yeah, coming off an emotional win like that at Southwest, I mean, I feared this game because, like I think what we said the last time on the show, that, we talked about Northwest, they play a very unorthodox style, and in order to be able to run up and down the floor with them and compete, you got to have numbered bodies. And I think they do a good job of selling them in. And they made shots, man, and they were really good. And they were just a better team.
And you look at the box scores, they outscored us 58-48 in the first half, 47-39 in the second half. Although it does feel like the game was much closer than what that score line says. And another big difference is you look at the turnover margins. We had 25 turnovers. That feels like it's the first time in a while we've had that many turnovers. And that really kind of felt like it was a big difference.
Well, yeah, that style of play kind of forces you to play a little faster than you want to, and they kind of dictated how fast we were playing. They sped us up, and it caused a lot of turnovers, unforced turnovers, and they converted them to easy baskets.
Despite the loss, you do want to highlight a career high from Tyrell. He had 28 points, which is a career high for him. 14 rebounds, so another double-double for him. 11 points each from Coy and LeBron Deal. I felt like this was probably one of the best games that LeBron has played offensively and defensively. Really stepped up for you at times when you needed him to.
I thought LeBron was really good on both ends. I mean, I thought he picked up a few costly fouls and wasn't able to play late, but I thought his energy is picked up and he's starting to buy into what we're trying to do.
Yeah, and then you go on the road on Monday, and this was a game. It was a 7-point loss to Hines, 80-73. This game felt much closer than 7 points for most of it, and for a lot of it, it really was. You kept it within 3, 4, 5 most of the game. Again, they only won by 7. But your thoughts overall? Guys played. I felt like your guys played well despite a loss, and the stats back that up too.
Yeah, we just, it was one of those games where we just couldn't get over the hump. We would cut it to 3 and we have a costly turnover, or we cut it to 3 and missed the front end of a 1-and-1. It was just one of those games we just couldn't seem to get over the hump. I thought we competed well. I thought our guys were playing hard, but we just couldn't get over the hump.
And that again, I feel like that's kind of been the trend. Go on the road and you play really well. You just got to find a way to get this team to get over that hump and play really well and find a win as well too.
Right, absolutely, and that's the thing. I tell them all the time. For us to go on the road, we got to be different. We gotta execute down the stretch, and unfortunately against Hines, we wasn't able to overcome that.
Yeah. You look at the box score. They outscored you 45-39 in the first half. Second half was much closer, 35-34. Unfortunately, needed a few more points on the Wolves side to find a way to win that one. But another big game from Moo in this one. He flirted with a double-double again, 23-7. Tyrell had 11 points for you. Those were your only two in double digits. And again, when you only got two in double digits, it's kind of hard for this team to be successful, it feels like.
Absolutely. And like I say, Moo has really stepped up. He's been playing really well lately. So we want to hopefully he can continue to build on that. And we get other guys to be more consistent. Our biggest thing is being consistent. We gotta be able to be consistent night in and night out, especially in a tough league like this.
Well, and as I talked with Coach Britta, it feels like it's unreal to say this, but we're at the end of the season. We've got two left. We're going to start with a game on this upcoming Thursday against Gulf Coast, another matchup with another Bulldogs opponent. What do we know about this version of the Bulldogs coming in on Thursday?
Well, I mean, if you look at the standings, I think they're top 4 in the league, so that tells you they're a pretty good team, and they have a lot of good guard play, and they have some bigs that's really tough and finish at the rim. So, really good team, just like a lot of them, the rest of them. But I like I say, winnable game. We just have to do what we do, and we got to get back to getting stops. We've been giving up too many points, so we're going to rely on our defense. And when we play defense well, we have a great chance of winning.
And I think the good news is outside of that Itawamba game, the other members of the top 4, you've played them really close, and you've played both of them on the road as well too. So it's nice to bring one of those top 4 into Mullen and see if you can't get that one. Plus, it'll be a little bit of an emotionally charged game, a bigger atmosphere with it being sophomore night and those kind of things as well too. So, and then Monday you'll finish it out with a road trip against East Central. We saw this East Central team earlier this year, came over here and won that one, but I know they're playing quite differently than what they were at the start of the year. What do we know about the Warriors heading into this one?
Well, there's talented, like I say, when they came over here, they played really well, and I'm sure they'll be at home their sophomore night, so it'll be emotional over there as well. So they're a different team than they were when we played them early, and we're a different team. So we're just looking to go in and try to get this one on the road as well when we go over there to play them with much needed one.
Yeah, and hopefully when we're talking to you again, we're talking about a couple of Wolves wins. I've got a pretty good feeling that we can say with some certainty we will be talking about a playoff game for the Wolves. So it's nice to see the men getting back into the playoff hunt as well too, and nice to be able to give and I think that's the biggest thing as a coach. You want to say, let's get there, give ourselves a fighter's chance, because once you get into it and you got to win every game to win it all, you like your odds.
Absolutely, and I think we stack up against anybody in the league. So, but we just got to come to play and be consistent. If we do those things, we have a good chance of winning.
So that'll wrap up our men's basketball segment. Despite going 1-2 in their last 3 with a win against Southwest, 71-64, dropped one against Northwest, 105-87, and against Hines, 80-73. They got 2 left. Thursday at Mullen, it'll be sophomore night, 7:30. We'll honor the sophomores for both the men and the women. In between the games, we're going to honor the sophomore cheerleaders and Colettes at halftime of the men's game as well, too. And then they will finish up at East Central on 7:30 on Monday. Stick with us after the break. We've got baseball and softball coming up.
At Copiah Lincoln Community College, you'll find a family of instructors and staff who truly care about your success. And not to mention a really fun college experience too. Co-Lin was recently ranked #1 in the state for student success. So whether you need to start or finish your college degree, take classes on one of our 3 campuses or online, Co-Lin is the place to be.
Thanks for sticking with us through the break. Join me now, as promised, is our head softball coach, Meleah Howard. Coach, thanks for joining me.
Excited to be here today.
And Coach, since the last time we've talked, you've played in 3 and you won all 3 of those. A couple of them were really close. A 2-run ball game and a 3-run ball game that was a shutout. But your thoughts overall on how your team went on the road, went to a place that we've had some success at Chocolaco Park, and you're able to overcome a little bit of adversity throughout this tournament, but able to get 3 wins as well too.
Absolutely. I thought that was a really good tournament to play in. And of course, we have a bias towards Chocolaco Park. We love it there. But really good quality teams that we played against. And I was very proud of our girls for stepping up. And, there was some pressure and there was some adversity. but they never quit, and they showed a lot of grit, and I'm proud of them.
And the first game you went over on Friday, you played one. You played a top 10 matchup against Des Moines area, DMAC as we call them for short. This was a 3-1 ball game, and it was every bit of the pitcher's duel that it said it was. At one point, I'm watching on Game Changer, and they hit the solo home run in the 4th inning, and it feels like that might be the only run that is scored, and that might be the difference. And as a coach, I don't know if you necessarily feel bad about that, because I also think that speaks to how well their pitcher did. But in the 6th inning, you get a 2-run home run from Ayari Van Blaircom, and that at bat, again, watching on Game Changer, watching it went foul, 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 foul. She hit 5 or 6, and in my head, I'm going, okay, she's trying to get that timing up. Maybe she'll get one here in a second. I finished that thought, and the next thing I see is 2-run home run. You get the lead there. You get an extra run in the 7th, and then you shut them down in the 6th and 7th to get that 3-1 lead. Your thoughts on that one, and how special of a moment that was for Ayari there?
Well, first of all, Junger's the pitcher from DMAC. She was very good, and it was good for our girls to see that type of pitching at this point in the season, because she's by far the best pitcher we've faced, and I think one of the best pitchers we're going to face this season. But, we had some failure, but I was very proud because the girls went into their next at-bat not focused on the last at-bat. And, against a good pitcher and against a good team, you have to do that. You have to flush the last at-bat and go get the next one. Very proud of Addison Lindley and our defense in this one. We held them to 1 run, and Addie she did what Addison's been doing. She got up there, she got outs, she was spinning the ball, she was locating the ball, and they were having trouble with her. But, back to Ayati in that big moment, as she was fouling those balls off, you could see that look in her eyes. She was locked in. But let's take it back to before Ayati got the home run. Stella laid down a tremendous bunt. That kind of is what ignited everything, because we weren't having a whole lot going on offense, and then Stella lays down that incredible bunt and beats it out, and that gives us that extra cushion with that other run, and Yachty with the big swing right there. That really changed momentum. And, 2 of the 3 games that we played this past weekend, we got down early, our first, and had to come back from being behind, which was good for us, because I need to see that, hey, we're going to push, even though, hey, it may not be going our way right now, but we play 7 innings for a reason. It's a long ball game. Stay locked in.
Yeah, you mentioned it. Addison Lindley came in, complete game effort, gave up just the 1 hit, the 1 run, the solo home run. She had 3 walks and a strikeout, but a master performance from her against another top-ranked team. That's 2 top-ranked teams she's played, and she's given up 1 run in 12 innings against two of the best teams in the nation. I think you can make an argument there. 4 hits in this one. You just mentioned 2 of them. The other 2 came from Brooklyn Wren, and Addison Lindley had a hit in this one as well, too. She also had an RBI, helped her calls out in that 7th inning. Just a great game for the Lady Wolves, and a great test early for the team.
Absolutely.
And then you go ahead to Saturday. You played 2. You started a little bit earlier on this day. You faced off against Northwest Shoals. Maybe felt like the girls were maybe not fully awake yet for this one. You win it 3-0. You never trailed because you scored a run in the 2nd, a run in the 5th, a run in the 6th. You had 6 hits in this one as well, too, and including Emily Williams' first home run. She's on the home run board finally. Saw her the other day on campus. I said, all right, now you got 1 out of the way. Let's get about 4 or 5 more before conference play. Build some of that confidence. Ava Browder in this one. Complete game shutout, no hits as well, too. 3 strikeouts, just a masterful performance from her.
Oh, yeah. I will say Northwest Shoals was a quality team. Their pitcher did a really good job of mixing up the pitches and keeping us off balance. We were a little bit undisciplined at the plate, so we have to be better than that. But again, a very high-quality opponent. Proud of the team effort for sure.
Let me correct myself there. There were 7 hits in that one. I read that stat wrong. So, but just a great game from Ava. We talk about her. She's not known for her strikeout. She gives up that soft contact, and I think you have to take those hits as they come and know, hey, sometimes she's just gonna give up 1, but she's a competitor in that circle.
Oh yeah, she did really well. She may have given up some hits in that game, but they were spread out. They weren't back to back, and that's a big thing we talk about with our pitching staff. Is like, hey, you're going to give up a hit here and there, or you're going to give up a walk here and there, but we can't have back-to-back-to-back hits or back-to-back hits and a walk or, those kind of things. So get outs. There's 21 outs in a game. get them.
Yeah, and then you've ended your time over the JUCO Extravaganza with another ranked opponent. You played North Iowa Area, and you beat them 7-4. This was the other game that you had to come from behind early because they scored 2 in the first. You scored 1 in the second, 3 in the third, 1 in the fifth, 2 in the sixth. Their other 2 came in the sixth as well too. That's how you get the 7-4 line. You had 2 hits each from Annie Poole and Stella Roberts. Those were 2 of your 9. Your others were Breeley Phillips, Adiari Van Blaircom, Emily Williams, Morgan Chisholm, Caitlin Malone got a start in this one, got you a hit and an RBI as well too. So up and down the lineup really produced for you in this one, and probably your best offensive output of the weekend.
Oh, yeah, for sure. They started a lefty against us, and I don't think we've seen a lefty all year, and she was pretty good, so not taking anything away from her. But the game didn't start how we wanted to start. But once again, as a coach, you don't really want that to happen. But at the same time, early in the season, you kind of want your team to have some struggles so you can see how they're going to handle it and how they're going to overcome it. We came back little by little, got on base, got some hits together, and made some things happen, and we found our way to get back.
And in the circle in this one, you started Maddie West. Looks like she just kind of struggled in this one, only got a third of an inning pitched. She gave up 2 runs, both of them earned on a hit and 3 walks. Tip of the cap to Lily Crum. Lily came in, delivered her best performance of the season. 4 2/3, got her first win of the year, 5 hits. She gave up 2 runs, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. Addison Lindley comes in, gets a save with 2 innings of hitless, scoreless relief, a walk, and 4 strikeouts. And this was part of Addison's performance for the week. They got her MACCC Pitcher of the Week honors. In 15 innings this past week that she pitched, she gave up 1 earned run. A masterful week from Addison.
Absolutely. And as a pitcher, sometimes it's just not going to be your day. Sometimes you're not going to be at your best. And, that's what we talk about. When one person is failing, somebody else has to step up and succeed for them. And that's what happened right here. So very proud of our pitching staff.
And we look ahead to this upcoming week. You're going to have a little bit of a tough stretch here. You got 6 games in about 5 days, a couple of ranked opponents coming in as well too, but you're going to start on the road at Baton Rouge. It's a little bit more difficult to go on the road and beat a team that you've already seen at home. What are you expecting out of Lady Bears when you go over to their place on Thursday?
They're going to be a good team. They're going to make things happen, and they're going to be tough. But we play well on the road, so I don't worry about that. We love playing in front of our home crowd, of course, but, playing on the road doesn't bother us. But, yeah, 6 games in 4 days, I believe, Thursday through Sunday. But, we have the depth, and our girls are ready. And, at this point of the season, you're tired of practicing over and over and over again, so we'd rather have game day.
Yeah. And then this Saturday will begin a stretch of 3 straight doubleheaders against some really tough competition, ranked opponents. You're going to welcome in Chipola this Saturday at 1 p.m. That's a team that's on the D1 side of softball. They're annual perennial powerhouse on that side. What do we know about them coming in this Saturday?
They're going to be tough for sure, but it's going to be good competition for us, and it's going to make us better.
And then, of course, Lansing will come in on Sunday. This is a team that every year, it seems like they come down here, but they're in the national tournament every year, so we know we have a good chance of seeing them. What do we know about the Lady Stars coming into that one, and what are you expecting out of that bunch?
Lansing traditionally makes a national tournament appearance, so we're expecting them to be good as always. But like I said, we like playing good opponents at this time.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll talk to you before we play this one. We're going to tease this one just a little bit because this has a chance to be a top 5 showdown in Wesson next Wednesday, 3 p.m. The Lady Bengals of LSU Eunice are going to come. I think it's the first time in my time here that Eunice has ever come during the regular season to play. What are you expecting out of that bunch when we see them?
They're going to be scrappy. They're going to play hard. They're going to be scrappy. They're going to put pressure on us, and once again, we start conference after that. So I think these next 8 games are really going to prepare us leading into conference.
Yeah, we want to make sure that we mention that Eunice game just in case we don't get to talk to you because a little chaotic next week as well too for all of us. So with basketball wrapping up and all that kind of stuff as well too. But lots of exciting things happening for the Lady Wolves. Again, they go to the JUCO Extravaganza, return to Chocolaco Park in Oxford, where we had a little bit of success. Maybe won a national championship over there last year. Win 3 more, beat DMAC 3-1, Northwest Shoals 3-0, North Iowa Area 7-4, DMAC North Iowa area, both ranked wins there. And they will go on the road on Thursday, play against Baton Rouge 1-3. start times there. They host Chipola on Saturday, 1-3 start times at Lady Wolves Field, 1-3 again on Sunday for Lansing when they come in, and then 3-5 on Wednesday against LSU Eunice in what right now is looking like a top 5 showdown in the D2 side of softball. That'll wrap up our softball segment. Stick with us through the break. Baseball after this, we'll find out how the Wolves did in their weekend series against MMI.
When you give to the Co-Lin Foundation, your support directly benefits Co-Lin students, faculty, and staff. Whether it's by providing scholarships for students, professional development opportunities for faculty and staff, or technology and campus upgrades, we need your support. Giving to Co-Lin offers the best value for your money as a donor. With low administrative spending and overhead, we can use your donations in tangible ways that benefit students right now. Join us as we back the path by giving today.
Welcome back in. Thanks for sticking with us through the break. Joining me now is our head baseball coach, Kyle Flessner. Coach, thanks for joining me.
Appreciate you having me.
And Coach, since the last time we've talked, you played that doubleheader against MMI, Marion Military Institute, and you swept that one. You won the first one 11-6, won the second one 10-0. That 11-6 ball game, I think you can make an argument, probably should have been 11-2, but when you're playing in a red flag warning with wind gusts up to about 30 miles an hour, and poor Bradley Hanlon's getting beat to death by the wind out there in right field, that's just kind of what happens, and that's how you get an 11-6 ball game in the first one. But your thoughts overall on how good it was to see the guys bounce back and get some and be rested and be able to get a sweep?
Yeah, I mean, we were sitting on 2 losses all week, and I'm sure it was bothering our guys a little bit. And we were a better team than what we played against Bossier Parish, so it was good to come out and I think handle business and do what we were supposed to do. The wind was. It was funny. You couldn't fault Bradley Hanlon at all. Anybody that would have been in right field would have been struggling just the same. There were some balls that got out. It was just a really weird day overall, especially in that first game. And game 2, it kind of normaled out. Wind died down a little bit, and we had more just normal baseball.
Yeah.
And so
I think I told Bradley in between games, I said, as a former outfielder, I know what you're feeling right now because I know you're frustrated because you're sitting there telling yourself, on a normal day, I'm making these plays easy, but it's not normal when the wind is gusting the way it was. And you look at the line score, you scored 3 in the first, 1 in the third, 2 in the fourth, 3 in the fifth, 2 in the sixth. They scored 1 in the second, 2 in the third, 1 in the fourth, 2 in the seventh. That's how you got that 11-6 line there. You had 12 hits as a team, 2 each from Bryson Jones, Avery Griffin, Trey Davidson, as well as Evan Holofield, a hit each from Donovan Moore, John Mark Grissom, Jacob Chancellor, Brian Travis. I think maybe the biggest hit was Avery Griffin got to leave the yard for the first time officially in his career. He's had a couple other home runs, a couple of inside the Parkers, but that was his first one that really left the yard. And I think that was a fun moment. Everybody really got a good cheer for him out of that one.
Which he had the single one against Delta last year, and I think the wind may have been blowing out that day to left, and you always want to say that's a wind-blown one. He got a hold of this one, and he was just, I think, a foot away from getting 2, and so he deserves it. He's finally had some barrels fall for him. That I think I made a joke earlier this week. I said I think he's leading the country in lineouts, and he's the loudest 200 hitter we had, and so it was good to see that fall for him. Just overall good day for our guys. Competitive nature was there, and we were controlling what we could the whole time.
And on the mound, Jennings did what Jennings did. Old reliable Jennings Kimbrell gave you 6 innings, a little high on the runs and earned runs, 6 runs. All those were earned, 8 hits, 1 walk. I continue to say it. Jennings is not known to be a strikeout guy, but he keeps striking them out. 7 strikeouts. I talked to him in between games. I said, I think you're planning these second innings to go the way they've gone. The last couple, he's gone out really good in the first inning, goes out in the second inning, gives up a leadoff solo home run. Next 3 guys, he strikes out. He kind of joked. He said, yeah, it kind of looks that way, doesn't it?
Yeah. I think, credit goes to Marion Military. They made it a point to be very aggressive at the plate. And when you got a guy that's, like you've said, has been just absolutely pounding the zone, that can sometimes be a dangerous combination. So we're, some people will say we're throwing too many strikes to a team that swings too much, but you can never throw too many strikes. And so it just worked out. It was kind of a matchup thing right there. I think Marion Military is a good matchup for Jennings on their side just because they're getting a lot to swing at. And I think with game 2, it worked out in our favor with a guy that had a lot more stuff, that spins, that doesn't just quite hit the zone maybe as often, or just as consistently, it worked out in our favor that way with game 2.
And Caleb Flynn came in, finished off the last inning, hitless, scoreless, had a walk and a strikeout. But I think for Caleb, that might be one of his most efficient outings of the early season so far. And I think it's nice to see, coming off the injury that he's had, how efficient he's been for you in most of his outings.
Yes, to be able to have somebody you can count on to not make it interesting. It was an 11-6 game at that point, 11-4 to start the inning. Jennings got hit around, and so he had a runner in scoring position when he came in and didn't let him cross the plate when he got in there. So he did his job ultimately and was able to throw more than just a fastball in the zone, was able to mix it well for us and give us a shot.
Yeah. And then in the second game, you won this one 10-0, and really it was kind of over after the first inning. You hate to say it that way, but when you score 8 in the first inning, you hit around the lineup, you scored 1 in the second, 1 in the fourth. The funny thing about it is you only had 1 extra base hit, and that was a triple by Avery Griffin.
Yep.
We mentioned a second ago, it was a triple because it missed a home run literally by maybe about a foot. I think it bounced off the top of the wall and then back into play. Could have gone either way, but I think Avery will take a triple, especially with like as you mentioned, how many loud lineouts he's had. It was a good day for Avery. On the flip side, I think you'll look at Trey Davidson, who's someone who started off real hot, and in this game there were 3 back-to-back at bats. I don't think you can hit a ball any harder than Trey hit them, and all 3 of them found gloves inexplicably. Usually when Trey makes contact that hard, he's rounding the bases and taking extras, but unfortunately that's just how baseball goes sometimes.
Yeah, well, that's exactly how baseball goes, because he had a pop-up that didn't find anybody's glove that lands, and he gets a hit for it, and then he had 3 balls that were over 100 miles an hour off the bat that went right at somebody. So it just, you can't explain it sometimes, and sometimes it's better to be lucky than good.
And 7 hits in this one, 2 each from Bryson Jones, Jacob Chancellor, a hit from Avery Griffin. Trey Davidson did have a hit in this one as well, too, and Matthew Combs. And we talked about just a second ago, the pitching performance in this one. This is the best start Cohen Weinhofer has had this season. And we've talked about his other ones have not been bad, by no means. But you look at this one, 5 innings pitched, complete game shutout. He gave up 3 hits, 3 walks. Here's the best stat of it all, 11 strikeouts. When you only have 15 outs in a game and your pitcher strikes out 11 of them, you're having a good day. And we talked about it jokingly. In the last inning he pitched, he had 4 strikeouts because 1 got past the catcher, Brian Travis, there. But just a great performance from Cohen.
His stuff's electric all the time. It was good after we put up that 8 spot in the first to throw up a 0 right after, just to keep the momentum and just, hey, keep it in our favor, play downhill like I always say with our guys. That's what our goal is to do, and be able to bury teams early, and that's what we were able to do. And so good job to Cohen. He found a pitch that was working early, and so he was able to establish strike 1 just a lot better, and then being able to have that finishing pitch. Every time he got to 2 strikes, he was confident enough, hey, he's coming away with the punch out. Yeah. So.
And we take a look ahead to this upcoming week. This week you got 5 games in about 5 days, a couple of doubleheaders in there as well too. You start off with a 3-way and a doubleheader. You're going to play Hines and Southwest at Southwest. You'll play Hines first at 3. Southwest at 6. We'll start with the Eagles. What do we know about that bunch? I know that's a team that's kind of been up and down. They're a team that split a doubleheader with Oklahoma, but they've beat Jones this year as well too. So, what do we know about them heading into that one?
Ultimately, especially we play them in a 7-inning game, if they got the right guy on the mound, they're going to be able to beat anybody. But ultimately, we have to do what we're capable of. And Hines, I think, is going to be a very good team in our league this year. I think they know how to win games. They got a lot of really good guys that are coming back. They're a very veteran ball club this year, kind of like we are. They've had their adversity, and so now they know how to react from it. So I'm excited to see, our first kind of conference test coming tomorrow, and then we'll have Southwest as well. I'm excited for that day.
Yeah, Southwest, a team you and I were talking earlier, said they feel like a team that can be dangerous if you don't put them away when you've got a chance. They've had several walk-off wins, and they took a game from Mineral Area as well too. Mm-hmm. So that's a team that's going to be game for this one, especially knowing that it's Co-Lin versus Southwest.
Yeah, there's that rivalry. I think a lot of Coach Edmondson over there. He's been great to me. I think we have a good relationship, and it makes it a little bit more fun when we get to play each other. Obviously, they're going to play well at their place. They're going to be a little bit more comfortable, and they do a good job being tough to play. They can come at you a lot of different ways. They can drop the bunt down. They can play small ball. They got some pop in their lineup, and they got some really good frontline arms as well. So I'm excited to see, like I said, another conference test, and that's going to really show us where we're at right now.
And then Friday, your lone chance to catch the Wolves at home this week. A single game against Rend Lake. I believe that's going to be a 9-inning game at 2 p.m. What do we know about that team? This is a team who just played Southwest, if I'm not mistaken, as well, too. So they just had a series here. This is one of those teams, they come down, they've played several series around here, but what do we know about them coming in?
They played Southwest and Hines so far. I know they got a new coach this year, and it's going to be a different culture than what we've seen from them in the past. Being from Illinois, I've always known who Rend Lake was, and those teams down in Southern Illinois, they always have some really good frontline arms. They got some really good talent, and if they're tough to play that day, it can be a real long day for you. It just depends on the day and, what type of pitcher are you going to see on the mound for them. I think they're going to be as competitive as ever, just like always, and I'm looking forward to a good test for our guys this whole week of having a long stretch of games and not much turnaround time.
And then you're going to go on the road on Saturday. You go over to Bay Minette in Alabama. You'll play Coastal South, the Coyotes of Coastal Alabama South. This is a team that has beaten a team in our conference this year in a slugfest. Beat Jones 25-15. I did not misspeak, folks. You did hear me say 25-15. So they're capable of putting up a lot of runs when given the opportunity. But what do we know about them going into that one?
Which they put up 16 runs on East Central, 25 against Jones. They played Pearl River a couple times, which we saw them twice this fall as well. So we've seen each other a good bit. They're as physical as ever. They got a lot of arms that are competitive for them, and a very veteran lineup as well. It's Coach Pruitt doing a great job over there. He gets their team ready to play. They're always ready to run through a brick wall for him, and they're always ready for you. They don't care who's in the other dugout. A little similar mindset to what Nunez has, and they're ready for a fight, and I hope our guys are too.
Yeah, so lots of exciting things happening, a lot of action coming up for the Wolves. Hopefully the next time we talk to you, we're talking about 5 Wolves wins, and we're pushing that record to 14-5 overall. As we said, 9-5 right now. You head into kind of, almost your second to last week of non-conference play. What do you like that you've seen about the team? What do you, I think this team is very talented.
Yes.
Obviously, we can score runs in bunches as well, too, but I don't think we mind playing one close either.
No, and I think our guys have the advantage in a close game. I think our just overall wanting to be in the fight, this group, I think they've been through everything together. Everybody is playing a role. Nobody is out of the game. Everybody understands that, hey, we're in this until basically the last pitch happens. And so it's a fun group to be around. Win, loss, our guys, they push themselves to be their very best, and we got a really fun group to be around.
All right, so again, lots of exciting things happening for Wolves baseball. They sweep Marion Military, win game 1 11-6, win game 2 10-0. They will be in action 3 times this week. 2 of those are on the road. First one, Wednesday at Southwest. They'll play Hines first at 3, Southwest following that one roughly at 6, maybe a little bit before that. Then they'll be at home on Friday hosting Rend Lake at 2 p.m. And then Saturday on the road at Coastal Alabama South, Bay Minette, 2 p.m. first pitch there. We'll give you all the streaming information as we have it available to us if the teams are streaming those. If not, we'll give you the scores on Twitter as we have those available to us as well too. Or I should say X, my bad. Hadn't been Twitter for a while, but I still call it that sometimes. Other action this week, golf in action at the Tommy Snell Invitational. Again, we mentioned baseball. Softball will host Baton Rouge. Will be at Baton Rouge on Thursday. My bad. At Baton Rouge on Thursday. They will host Chipola on Saturday, 1 p.m. start for there. My bad. Messing everything up today. And then they will host Lansing on Sunday as well, too. So lots of action for softball at home this weekend. Not so much for baseball, but if you want to come out to West and watch some softball, that'll be going on as well, too. Men's tennis and women's tennis at homes on Friday as well, too. That'll wrap up this week's show. I'm Kevin Kyzar, Sports Information Coordinator here at Co-Lin. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next week.